We live. We live. We live. Welcome everybody to the greatest, most hottest, most flavorous. I know those aren't words, but they're my words. To the greatest social media podcast on your telephone, on your laptop. Listen, this is the place to be every Tuesday night at 8:30 where we really drop some gems. Welcome. What's good, family? What's good? Welcome to the
What's up?
Your social media. It's that time again, Black. It's that time again, beautiful. We got to go in and give them some real work. But we know tonight you're going to hear some thought-provoking, some gut-wrenching, and yes, sometimes some even tear-jerking content because I'm just that funny. But listen, you just can't get enough of us. But listen, I'm the Bo, but we're going to get started off right. What's going on, Brother Black? How you doing this evening?
Hey, what's going on, bro? It's Black, otherwise known as Dwayne Johnson, down here repping for South Georgia, Lowndes County High School grad from the illustrious Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets engineering program. Also co-owner with my wife of Bridge Builder Education and Investments, which is our property management firm here in Valdosta, one of the most flourishing businesses that you can find for your investment. I'll leave it at that, but I want to pass over to you, Bo, to introduce yourself.
Yes, I'm Brother Bo, aka Mac Attack, aka the best thing since sliced bread, aka the Bo, Mr. Edward Mack here, representing, I'm in Jacksonville, but I got to represent my hometown, Valdosta, Georgia. Lowndes Out grad, UCF grad, went on, did a few things, father of two, just started the E3 Legacy Group, and we are moving to do even greater things. Listen, we got some things on the horizon, but that's enough about me, man. I got a lot going on, but I can't forget that there's a lot of testosterone on this show, but we decided to give a little bit of estrogen, just a little bit. And so we brought in the beautiful. How's it going, Miss Beautiful?
It is going well. It's going well, gentlemen. Thank you. Thank you very much. I am so glad you guys decided to bring some femininity to the show, lighten it up a little bit.
Yeah.
But I am, and thank you. I am Suzette Michelle. I am native of Valdosta, the beautiful city of Valdosta, Georgia. I also am a graduate of Lowndes High, so I'm a Viking, but we are a house divided. We do have some Wildcats, so I lean to that side when it's not the Wintersville Classic, of course. Tonight we are focused on the major elements of this blueprint that we're trying to roll out to you guys. And tonight we're focused on entrepreneurship, and we got some heavy hitters right on the show. Our brother Bold, our brother Black, are heavy hitters in that arena. And I have just become a partaker in that arena myself, opening up my own business the first of this year. So I'm excited about the information that's going to go forth because it's going to be information that I can use myself, and the viewers are going to be fortified by all the information that they're going to receive tonight. So I'm excited. I'm excited, guys, to get this thing started. Let's make some money. Let's make some money.
Ain't nothing wrong with a little money.
You know how we do. Let's go and get this thing rolling, Bold. I think you had a few hot topics we want to talk about first, just to give the viewers a chance to climb on into this platform and at the same time get us rolling with the conversation. We do have a featured entrepreneur that's waiting to chime in. So family, we're going to definitely get into some real-time conversation, just like Suzette, the beautiful, said. We've got some experience here, but we want to also bring in some guests that want to call in and chime in on this topic. But Bold, I turn it over to you, man. You got those hot topics blazing. So look, what you got?
Hey man, listen, I got the news, I got the 411, I got the Mary J. Blige tonight. Listen, I got some questions to ask y'all. I just want to know because I got questions. I just want to know. Listen, I know we've been talking about the family for the last few weeks, and I think it's important for us because we've been talking about how to repair the family, how to catapult the Black family into another position of power and position of prestige. So I got a question to ask you all tonight. I kind of been scouring the internet a little bit, and I saw something that was interesting. It was about leadership, and I know that we want to focus our relationships, how both of us are going to be leaders in our community. But I got to ask the question. One was talking about leadership in this new era. And so I want to ask the question, can we lead through change and uncertainty in 2021? Can we lead actually through change and uncertainty? And if so, tell us how. Good question.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Good question. Good question,
That's a
bro.
loaded question.
Yeah. I mean, you got a different show going on with that one, bro. That's a loaded one.
I'm just saying, because we talk about entrepreneurship.
Yeah,
Entrepreneurship puts you in a position of being a leader in your community, being able to make
absolutely.
hire people and change the narrative in neighborhoods. So can we lead through change and uncertainty? Because it's real uncertain right now. But
Well,
can
the
we
thing
still?
about it is that that your leaders are gonna sort of float to the top or come to the top on that one, because with that change and uncertainty, it's gonna take leadership to sorry for the lack of words there, but lead the way, spearhead the initiative. Those are moments when leaders. That's when we shine.
Yeah.
So I agree with you in that concept. But the question, is pretty self-explanatory. But at the same time, we definitely have to find our leaders.
Yeah, I personally think that we can, because like you said, I think it's when some people perform well under pressure. Some people perform well when the rules of the game kind of change, because they reinvent themselves.
Yeah.
And they kind of chameleon themselves to the resources that are around them. And we are just creative people. We're gonna find a way to make it work. You know what I'm saying? When we prioritize and see what the priorities are at stake, you know what I'm saying? When it comes to it, if I have to feed my family versus am I just gonna roll over and succumb to all the negativity of the world, we usually rise to that occasion. So I think that we can lead. I don't think that what it's going to look like is going to be anything familiar. I think it's going to be new and creative. And that's what I've been witnessing over the past year and a half. New businesses are propping up. The ways to do business has changed and evolved. So I think we can. I'm going to say yes.
So let's build on that a little bit, because of course, this is layered, and I asked it that way so that we could dig in it a little bit. What are some actionable things that we can do or we can provide to our community when it comes to leading through uncertainty and change? Of course, I think in the beginning, and both of y'all have alluded to this, I think it starts, doing it. What is that? Charity begins at home, being sure that we're leaders in our own home, our own communities, our own neighborhoods, through our own churches, our own synagogues, and mosque or whatever, wherever we go. But after we have taken the leadership role within ourselves, what are some other things that you all think would be actually that would be impactful when we're talking about showing certainty amongst uncertainty? What are some things that we can do, some kind of roots we can put down to kind of give our lives some certainty, even though our economy and our situation is uncertain?
That's a good point. Good question. I'm trying to use, one thing that we do, here in household and business here is have a foundation, have a foundation, a process that's in place. And I'm process driven. So some of that is kind of high level when you're talking about family, but if you're talking entrepreneurship and business, you have to have already a process in place, procedures. And that's one way that, most businesses tend to fail, because there's not a process that's in place when you come down to looking really at your business planning practice, having some sort of structure in place that you can fall back on in those times of uncertainty. And that's really one of the areas that my wife and I, we follow, is that we're always rethinking our processes, whether it's just to improve in our processes or falling back on those that really get you through those tough times. And it's good to be able to go through sometimes, because that's the probably the bottom of it all. And if you can make it through that, then those really become your foundational steps that you at most have to achieve and complete, whether it's good times or bad and challenging.
Yeah. What about the because I know you were talking about having that business plan and etc. Here's a good question, so we can dig a little bit, because I saw an article today. There's a guy, actually several tax preparer companies in 2020, they saw a huge decline in people with LLCs filing taxes. And it showed that there were a lot of people that found that they were in the wrong status during 2021 because of the pandemic, and they saw that there were other options out there because they had heard about the LLC and heard about this, that, and the third. How important do you think it is, and this is for either one of you, how important do y'all think it is to be set up properly from the beginning? I know you can change, you know,
right,
where your business goes, but I mean, do you think people actually really do their due diligence when they start in businesses?
Yeah, I mean, that's a fair question or challenge to present. And that reflects back to one of the things that I said there is that whether you're in good times or not, you should always be trying to, you know, learn about the business that you're in and the practice of being in business. So if we're in good times now, just say, for instance, you know that you at some point want to start a business, go ahead and start researching the different structures that are out there, including LLC, sole proprietorship, et cetera, to figure out which one is best suited for you. Because, you know, as an LLC person, I'm going to tell you that, you know, the benefits with regard to tax preparation are more so to my advantage than they may be for, you know, somebody that's wanting to do an S corp or sole proprietorship. And it's an individual choice that has to be made based on your particular circumstance or your vision. And some of those things, you know, just like now, I'm presenting some vague terms as far as your circumstance, your vision, where you want to be in business, what benefits are you trying to get out of it. Those are some questions you need to sit down with a professional and find out before you just say, oh, I'm going to start this business and I'm just going to run it as sole proprietorship. And that's really taken for granted that a person understands what that means as one individual running a business versus a partnership. From an LLC, limited liability corporation standpoint, when you have many partners on the paperwork, the advantages that can take place there as far as shielding your individual assets away from the business and its assets. There's some things, you know, like I said, we can get into a little bit further deeply, but you have to do that homework so that, when the time comes that you need to pull on that and rest assured that your business will be okay, you want to know that you selected the right structure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I totally agree with Brother Black about this one, because there are so many resources out there for you when you're starting a business. I know, as for myself, I was coming from a healthcare background, and when I decided to launch into the entrepreneurship, you know, waters, I was so nervous. Like, it was a lot of stuff I was intimidated by that I didn't know. So I really was for all the information that I could from people who are already in businesses, so that they can kind of navigate me through some of the things that I was not aware of. And then another view of it is, I was in the back of my mind, you know, I was like Wesley Snipes, you know what I'm saying, in trouble legally or, you know, with taxes or anything like that. So I really wanted to seek professionals who were good in what they do and was willing to, as Brother Black said, evaluate my business plan. And then, because there's a lot of options and there's a lot of avenues you can take. So they took what your foundation was, and then they tell you the best way to navigate to your end goal, whatever your end goal may be. But you definitely want to make sure you set it up properly first. A lot of people may not, but honestly, it's going to catch up with you either way. You know, you might as well establish it correctly first, so that you're in the constant progressing and building mode, because it's going to set you back once it's going to catch up with you if you don't set it up properly first. So you don't want any setbacks. You want to be successful. That's the goal. Nobody enters into entrepreneurship saying, you know, I think I'm gonna fail in a year or two, but that's exactly what happens most of the time. So, and I think that's failure on the preparation part. So I would advise people to, you know, save yourself a lot of stress and heartache. Just set it up correctly at the beginning. And that way you constantly build, like all gas, no brakes. You're going to constantly be building towards your successful goal.
Well, I want to throw a wrench in there. This is another question, but it ties into this about choosing the right setup, you know, in the very beginning. But if we were to throw that into the blueprint, when we're talking about entrepreneurships and business, how important is it to choose the right partner? Because if we're going to bring entrepreneurship into the forefront, I need to make sure that I'm vetting my business partner as if, well, I'm vetting my wife or potential wife as a potential business partner instead of just a spouse alone. So if I were to take this same question and actually put it into the relationship era, because guess what? We did hear that if we juxtapose Jeff Bezos, or no, let's do Bill Gates and Melinda Gates, and Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith. Which one? Well, it's pretty obvious who did more vetting.
Hey, pause for a second. Sorry, excuse me, but pause for a second. I'm going to bring in our guest tonight, Brother James Lawrence, and he can chime in on this as we continue this conversation. But I want to get this brother in. So he's coming in, but just think about what your answer is going to be. Brother connecting in on audio right now. Interesting question, by the way. Yeah. So we're going to save that for the brother right here also.
That's how we do. That's how we do over here. Listen.
So as he's connecting, by the way, I am in business with my wife, so I'll be eager to chomp at the bit. Brother Lawrence, if you can unmute and join us, and if you have video capability, that'll be awesome. But either way, it works for you, works for us. Brother Lawrence, can you announce yourself and just tell us who you are and what business you lead?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes. Welcome to the show.
I'm working on the video side of it right now, but I am James Lawrence with the Lawrence Event Planning Company. We are full event planners here in Valdosta. Our main purpose is to provide outstanding events for couples who are getting married and other organizations looking for the next level of event design and planning. So that's what we do here and have done so since 2015.
That is one of the reasons why I wanted to bring you into this conversation. I've seen the splendid work that you're doing on your end, and I wanted to make sure that the family and those that perhaps see this video going forward get a chance to be exposed to you, because even as we sit as co-hosts of this platform, I think I'm introducing you to the two co-hosts here also. And so we definitely want to make sure that we highlight our brothers and sisters that are doing some great things in the business world also. So with that, I commend you. And I'm going to pull up your Facebook presence to kind of use that as reference to some of the things that I've seen and want to ask some questions about that. The question on the floor, though, Brother Bold, I know that you had a question that's out there that's still outstanding for answer. Kind of gets around the essence of, if you are vetting partners in your business, isn't that somewhat the same relation that you should or consider when choosing a spouse, especially if that spouse is going to be involved in your business? I know that's a lot said there, but is that what I got, Brother Bold, so that Mr. Lawrence can chime in on his thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's pretty much. The original question was leading through change and uncertainty in 2021, and so we talked about some of the things that we should do as far as doing our due diligence in business and ensuring that we have our market research, and we find our niche, and we find you do all the things you do in the very beginning to make sure set your business up to be successful. But I asked the question, should we do the very same thing when it comes to choosing a spouse to go into business with, since we're talking about restoring the Black family through entrepreneurship? So that was the question. How important is it to vet your potential wife or husband just as you vet your business or your business partners, etc. Is that? I think I made it. What do you think about that, Brother James? Do you think that's important? You think it's important, or you think it's two separate issues?
Honestly, I think it may be two separate issues. So when we started the business, we were already married, and so before we got married, I was not in the in the thought process of starting a business. It's something that was maybe further down the line, but when my wife and I started dating, I was in college. So, and we dated from 2004 up until we got married in 2013. So there, when I decided to marry my wife, business didn't have anything to do with it. We were on a different wavelength there. So I don't know if I would say that choosing a spouse based off of their potential to help you grow a business is fair to the person that you may be interested in and that may be interested in you. I think that if you want to start a business, you have to have a plan, to be passionate about what you're doing, and if it has potential, that person that you are with, because they see that you're passionate about it, will naturally follow. And that's kind of the case with our business. My wife, she did not inquire about starting a business. That was not something that she was, interested in. And so when I came up with the concept of going into business, she was a little skeptical. And then once I started doing my research and figuring out what would be our niche, she just naturally, because we're married, we're a partnership, she just naturally, became a part of the business because, that's what we just, that's kind of how it worked. And so fast forwarding to now, we have evolved into a point where, LaDonna is handling a lot more responsibility with the business than what she did when we first started. And so, but when we first started dating, that wasn't something that I was even thinking about as being a requirement to get married. And I would tell somebody that I don't know if that's necessarily the best. That's good logic. It just depends on what your goals are. Everybody's entitled to have their own goals, and if that's something that you require, then that's what you require. But I don't know if that's something that I would say is a great recipe for long-term love and business mixed together.
Do you think you would have gotten the same cooperation if your business wasn't as successful? If you were still grinding, if you were still working long hours, and she did not see any goodness coming out of this entrepreneurial pursuit, do you think she would still be as cooperative?
I'm going to tell you, we've been doing this almost 7 years, and I told my wife just the other day, I said, I feel like where we are now is how we probably should have started 5 years ago. There have been some moments, and that's a whole nother. I got some stories. There have been some moments in this wedding business that has tested the foundation of our marriage to levels that I don't think many people can even handle. Me and my wife have gotten into a very heated argument on the front porch of a church right before wedding rehearsal about this business. And we were on the verge of splitting up then. But we have seen some very low points doing this, and we have lost a lot of money in the process. So yes, I do believe in my case, that because we've already been there. We've already been there. And so here, where we are right now, and it's still not perfect. I mean, it's something that you work on every day. I feel like we have been through a point where it has not been successful, where we have been on the verge of losing more than just the business, trying to make other people's weddings a success. So yes, but this type of dynamic where a husband and wife are working as a partnership in the business, that is something that is it's not easy, and it's not for everybody.
Yeah, you're right about that. Yeah, I definitely second that. Like I was telling the co-host here that that's the bucket that we fit in when it comes to our property management business. And sometimes, a lot of times, we don't see eye to eye, but you have to fall back on, just like I'm sure you have experienced, that you fall back on what you have as far as a relationship with that person, and there are a lot of times you're not going to see eye to eye, and that's, like you said, it's not necessarily for the faint of heart, because a lot of individuals might already be on a rocky relationship, and they don't have the foundation that's necessary to carry them through another avenue of turmoil, because you're going to have challenges within a marriage, quite candidly. But you, just like you gave as an example on the church steps before a wedding rehearsal, sometimes you can have candid arguments in the business more so than you would have had with a traditional partner, because that's your wife and that's somebody that you're comfortable with having those blunt conversations with. So, sometimes, having a partner really puts a different mix to that partnership, kind of going back to your question, Bo.
Beautiful. What you got?
Well, Brother Bold, this is the fifth part of the blueprint. So we've already established, the relationship part. So of course, I agree that a relationship has to be, solid and established first. And that will kind of give you a temperature of, should we even consider going into business together? But let me pause and say thank you to Mr. Lawrence for coming on the show. And I want to say thank you for Miss Lawrence. She's not on the show, but we appreciate you guys weathering the storm and staying together, because we need to see positive examples and real examples of just what it is like for, couples to be in business together. Some people look at, the power couples like, Beyonce and Jay-Z is like, oh yeah, they got it made. But, we need real life examples, like just how tough is it to be in a entrepreneur environment with your spouse? Like, how tough is that? But so I thank you for being candid and being truthful with us. But also, like, when you decided to go into it, I know you kind of said that you went into it first and she kind of came on board. Did you do your research when you started, or did you just kind of jump in there, sink or swim?
So when we started, when I came up with the idea, it started with, all right, we need to find a way to make some more money, right? So, I knew in order to do that, we could start a business, right? So let's figure out, and my wife was a part of this process the whole time. I mean, she wasn't, we communicated through the whole process. It's not like I woke up and said, hey, I got a business. So I talked, said, what kind of business can we start that doesn't require a lot of money up front, but we can make money without spending a lot of money up front? So I did a lot of research. So I have always been in the event mode. So when I was in high school, I would put on the pageants for the high school. When I was in college, I would do Phi Beta Sigma pageants, and I would be a part of the student government, homecoming committee. So I've always done this type of stuff. We planned our own wedding, and we've always done little small events for family members. So I kind of was on that wavelength of, hey, let's look at the event planning business. And so, I put out surveys, and I had my friends on Facebook fill out some surveys. I showed them pictures of things that they liked, things that they didn't like. I looked at this area, who's already in this business, do they have a Facebook page? What's their following like? What do their customers like? It took me like 3 months before I even filed the paperwork to even start a business, just to figure out if this was something that was worth doing. And so once I finished that research, I filled out the paperwork. I got listed on Google. I created a website. I did all of that stuff before I even told people we were in business. And a lot of people don't do that. That's another conversation. So, when I launched the Lawrence Event Planning Company, when people were able to access it, I had my own website. I was on Google. I had my own domain. It wasn't lawrenceevent@gmail.com. It was info@lawrenceevent.com. I'd done all of that work. And within a couple of weeks, we were getting phone calls, and it hadn't stopped since then. And so from Madonna's standpoint, she was like, oh, here we go, because I've always, talked about doing stuff and never followed through. But I asked her a couple of weeks ago, do you think we be, at this point right now? She said, I would have never thought that. So it wasn't on a whim. There was definitely a lot of research involved with it. And I still research. I made a Facebook post not long ago that I study this business a lot. And I study the people who are in it as well. And I've learned a lot from them, and I learned a lot from the research that I do. So when I tell people, when you start a business, you just don't start it and stop. You got to continue to work on it and learn. So I'm always trying to reinvent the company. We are in the process of doing another reinvention as well in the beginning of the year. So I'm always trying to figure out how I can make this company fresh and new. So
yeah, I definitely commend you on that, because that's, I mean, you speaking my language on that, that a lot of people miss. A lot of people miss. And probably if they didn't have a chance, need to rewind what you just started saying, because brother, what you just talked about is one-on-one business startup steps. And like you said, you have to perform a market survey or study to find out, do people even want what you want to offer? Do people want what level that you're going to offer, and understand how broad you can go? Because I seen you're going out to Vegas, servicing clients out there. So, you're not just saying Valdosta or Lowndes County is going to be my niche. There are some other people that want this, and I want to be on that level. So you're marching towards that. The other thing I capture here is that, you began setting yourself up professionally, where you want to be seen, how you want to be seen. You didn't put on, like I said, Lawrence at gmail.com, or weddingsbylawrence@gmail.com. You put the info at a .com, your own business domain, in other words, for those that need to know that. But then the final thing is the research. That's what this is, a long process, is what you're getting at. This isn't just say, I want to start a business. Here I am, everybody. No, this is, you need to put some work into it. And for you to have that mindset, that's what people need to hear, is that it's a process. It is not just flash in the pan. Oh, this is going to work. This is my side hustle. This is really going to, fly off the shelf. The final thing, I captured obviously in the beginning of what you said, is that this was something that that you've been doing successfully for some time, and this was in you, inside of you. You have the passion, you have the know-how, and it was just more so, let me think about actually doing something that is very familiar to me, but also I have a knack for. I'm very good at this. I've proven myself in various arenas, and baby, if you follow me, I think we can do this. And like you said, we do a reflection also at some point throughout the year, and we're like you said, 5 years ago, do you think that you thought this would be the place we'd be, experiencing? And really the answer, you're right, is that it's no, and then it's still more to go, more to have. And, I see that obviously in your line, because your future, because that's the mindset. You're continually trying to strategize on what are the competitors doing? All right. Maybe it's not wrong to look at competitors and say, let me take that little nugget there and use it for my business. Or I can see that's why they're struggling. Let me make sure I bolster down our processes, our procedures, so we don't fall into that pitfall. There are a lot of different ways as a business owner you can strategize to make yourself the top notch. So I definitely, hats off to you, brother.
And I want to just, you use the term competition, and in this area, people have they've steered away from that word. And I just want people to understand that, that is business. Competition is business. And you can collaborate. I collaborate with a lot of people that I compete with for the same clients. We have if you do hair, everybody who gets their hair done, you're competing for the same people, right? And the same thing with weddings. I'm competing with the same event designers and wedding planners who want those customers to do business with them. And so, yes, I do study what they do. I do learn what they're really good at. And I learn, what they may not be so good at based off industry standards. And I also evaluate myself off of industry standards. And LaDonna and I, when we finish an event, every event that we finish, we spend at least 2 to 3 hours just dissecting every single part of it. What did we not, what did we do wrong? What could we have done better? And so when you mention nuggets, I look at other people who do the same thing, and I look at how they decorate, or what's getting, a certain, if I want a certain segment that I want to get a couple people from that niche, maybe I'll market my promos a little bit differently to grab that person from them or from that segment, or maybe I should try to use this type of linen or this color to draw a certain group of people towards us. And that's my goal. I mean, when I'm in business to make money, and LaDonna and I, that's our goal. And so when you mention competition, I am a competitor by spirit, but I work with anybody. But, I want business people also to know it's okay to study, it's okay to learn, it's okay to be in competition. There's nothing wrong with that.
Let me ask you this also, because a matter of fact, I think you mentioned something that in our line of business, we ended up doing naturally also, which was using our own funds to lift this thing off, and that's a reality that I'm trying to look up the stat that I saw, but that's just a reality that our businesses have to face. And in the sense of the stats. Let's see, where is it? I'm going to read it. I think here, about 38% of Black business owners say they are discouraged from applying for loans. The average level of startup capital for Black entrepreneurs is $35,000. Black business owners receive less business funding, less often, and at higher rates. So what we end up doing is having to position ourselves to lift this dream of ours off the ground, and then do the research, then do the marketing, all of that. And that's what really that capital, that startup funding is all about, so that you can have that sort of front loaded by a bank. And in some cases, we have to actually do that. And that's where a lot of times, because we're not necessarily set up financially in the right position, where we are on the failure biasness, because of it's just the trend is not to be successful if you don't have the right capital. What thought process and measures did you all use? And I'll say as an example, what we ended up doing was getting into investing, and we stay in that throughout our long run here. But we got into investing and in real estate, so it helped front end fund our business. What are some arenas that you all, exploited in the sense of funding in order to start up your business?
So the good thing about the wedding planning business, as I alluded to earlier, is it didn't take a lot of money up front, which was a good thing, because we were, paycheck to paycheck. When I even started the business, you were saying, James, you need to figure something else. That's one of the reasons why we started, because we needed some more money. I am still the principal investor of the Lawrence Event Planning Company. So, a large chunk of its funding still comes from me. We do have some, outside, programs that allow us to get some credit. But our niche, our I guess a competitive advantage is I'm able, because I have a lot of knowledge about a lot of different things that are related to events, that other people may have to pay somebody for, that I don't. So when it comes to creating my website, I already know how to do that. When it comes to getting, getting the business started, I already know how to do that. So I don't have to pay a consultant to figure out how to do something like this. So that saves. So my philosophy is saving. Can I save a lot of money so that I can use my investment money, or my money to grow it without having to pay people to do a whole lot of things? So that's kind of been our business philosophy to a certain degree, is how much of this can we do in-house? So when we look at our events, LaDonna is a florist per se. So when we do fresh floor, we don't have to go out and hire a florist. That money can come right in when we book it. It's going right to LaDonna. That's how we don't have to hire somebody else to do that. When it comes to lighting, I have all the lights. I have a lot of lights. I don't have to pay a lighting person. when it comes to making my video promos, I know how to do that. So I don't have to pay a person to do it. So a lot of the funding comes from one, saving money by not having to pay people to do things that I can do. And then also being in a business that does not require a lot of money out of your pocket up front. So when most people pay for their weddings, they pay me a planning fee. I use that money, we take some of it and we put the rest back in the business, but everything else is just almost kind of like pass through. We don't have to spend a whole lot of money to make this work. And in fact, it's very minimal. You'd be surprised how little money is required to make this business work.
Question. But I wanted to ask you really quickly. I've been reading a lot of information and having conversations, and I'm noticing there's a lot of individuals over the last year or two have been talking a lot about mentorship, in business, having that business mentor to kind of have those moments where, the mistakes that, like you were saying, some things that you felt like you all probably should have done 5 years prior. But do you think that by having a mentor would have allowed you to close that gap a lot sooner? And I guess another question would be, do you have one? Do you have a business?
I have people that I look up to just from the sidelines. I don't have an official mentor. Although people have always asked me, hey, James, you got a mentor? I said, no, I really haven't. I've always been a march to the beat of my own drum type of person. But I've always looked at the people and I watch how they do business, and I've kind of tried to stick to that mode. But I've also considered myself to be slightly different. So my mindset, when compared to people that are in my same age group, is just different. And so, no, to answer the questions, I don't have a mentor. Do I think I could have benefited from some of the pitfalls in the beginning? It's possible. I'm sure someone could have said, hey, James, don't do it this way, or this could happen. But I also, feel like that's part of, how we've grown as well, and how we've been able to accomplish what we've accomplished. It's because we've been able to learn from our mistakes and learn. That's why my contract is 8 pages long. Is because each event I've been able to learn, how to fit this business to work for us. And I think we've done a pretty good job. But yes, I look up to people like Big Nick. I just watch how he works, and I've always looked up to him and some of the other guys. I grew up in Valdosta, but I went to Savannah State, so I spent a lot of time in Savannah when I graduated from there. And there's some guys there that a guy named Mondo who runs a graphic shop. I watch how he does his business, and that's been my philosophy. Put your head down and work, and you don't show off. I'm not flashy. I just work. And I learned my business, and that's kind of how I've been. I don't know if there are not a lot of guys that plan weddings, and we didn't really know a lot of people in this business when we got started. But I think having a mentor is a good idea. I wouldn't discourage it, but in my case, I don't know if it would have been helpful or not.
Mr. Lawrence. So in this business, first of all, Brother Black has just flashed some of your work across the screen. Absolutely breathtaking and beautiful. I love it. Yeah, so that kind of sparked my question. Like, what have you ever experienced? And I'm sure you have in your line of work, people that want the hookup or people that want a discount. And if you have, what was your response to that? What do you recommend for business owners who might receive clients that say, can you give me a hookup?
Yeah. We have been fortunate that most people who have booked us for weddings, very, very few people have said, hey, James, can I get this for a discount? That doesn't happen. That hasn't happened to me often. It has happened. There are some occasions where I've helped people out, and that hasn't been reciprocated. And so I've learned, how to navigate that. And that's a conversation to be had as well. But what I would tell people to I don't think there's anything wrong with asking for a discount. Okay, we do it all the time. We go to Walmart and we're looking for a discount. We go to Publix and we got coupons and we're looking for a discount. There's nothing wrong with a discount. What I've done is created value, and that's where people they don't understand the inner workings of business. It's not necessarily about a discount. It's, can I create value to where you don't want a discount because you feel like you haven't paid enough? And so people who are, my goal is when a person leaves my wedding, bride and groom or the parents, they say, James, I don't feel like I paid enough money for all this stuff that you just put out here. And that has actually been said to me many times. People, and that's because I've created a value in the brand that I know nobody else can match, right? So when brides book me for full planning, they give me as a wedding planner, give LaDonna as a wedding planner. That in itself is a value because you got 2 planners for the price of one. My dance on the cloud, which people have to pay $500 for, is part of the package. My cool sparks, which may cost $1,000 depending on what market you're in, is part of the package. When I decorate a wedding, my full room lighting is part of the package, and people are paying the same amount of money for all of that without getting all those extra goodies. And so that's I create a discount in the value. So I try to own as much impact things as possible. And I leverage what I own versus what I charge for. And I think it's been working out for us. So some of these weddings that you flash, you're looking at, thousands of $1,000 of decorations if you go to Atlanta. But I've created a formula, so to speak, where the discount is built in. So when a person who's really serious about doing business with me, they don't have to ask for a discount because when they book, they say, I should be paying more money. And that's, like I said, that's actually happened before.
Oh, that's an awesome answer. I think that's what every entrepreneur should focus on, creating value. Right. Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, brother, I know you're a busy man, and as far as, thinking ahead, unless there's more that you want to share, as far as your insight that we haven't tapped into, questions that we haven't asked that you just wanted to get off your chest, I do want to respect your time. We've had guests on here that, I didn't let them know it was going to be a 2-hour Black and the Bold conversation because we go on. So, but, for the sake of your time and your family's time, we, like Suzette just said, we want to thank Mrs. Lawrence also for you sharing, for her sharing your time with us also. So, like I said, you got the floor. If there's anything else you want to talk about or mention, we will definitely be flashing. I've got your website up here. I'm going to thumb through that as we continue our conversation. But yes, Brother Lawrence, if you got anything else, please share it with us.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to thank you guys for the opportunity to talk about business, because I can do this all day. The only thing I would tell people who may be tuning in or may get a copy of this at a later time is, starting a business, and anybody can do it. You go to the IRS website and you get an EIN, you technically are in business, but in order to make it sustained, there, like you said earlier, there's a process involved with it, and you got to do it the right way, and you got to present yourself on your personal platforms and on your business platform almost seamlessly. There's nothing wrong with being, a little loose of the tongue every now and then, but your presentation is everything. I tell my wife, I tell my daughter, it says Lawrence across. That's the name of the business, and that's my last name. That's our last name. It's the family's name. And so when you're in business, you represent it all. And so I would just tell people that your presentation, how you want to present your brand, from everything from your logo all the way to the emails that you're sending out, are they grammatically correct? Do you have your own domain? All of that is important when deciding to go into business. And if you're doing it with a spouse, obviously you want to make sure that it's okay, if they are a part of it, and you have to be willing to accept it. That's not something that they want to do. That doesn't mean that they're a bad spouse. It just might not be something that they want to do, because having a partnership in business requires 2 people that are as close to equally yoked in that mindset as possible. And if that's not the case, then you could run into some issues in the long run. So I thank you guys. Again, If anybody is interested in planning an event or wanting to get married, just give us a call or visit our website. I think this is some images from our website, www.lawrenceevent.com, and we'll be more than happy to sit down with you and discuss that. Thank you so much, Dwayne.
Yeah, no problem at all, brother.
Before you go, if someone was to, how much time do you need? Like, how much time would you need to get an event organized?
So, that's funny that you mentioned that. So I have the first wedding that we planned, okay, took place it was October 2015. I got that phone call like in the middle of September of the same year. And that was from start to finish. They didn't have invitations, they didn't have a venue, they didn't have photography, they didn't have anything. So we planned the wedding in about 30 days, the first wedding that we ever did. So the answer is I can work with most time frames. In fact, for one planner, she had to cancel, and she called me 7 days before the wedding. We had to put it together. I don't like to do that. So but we don't need much time at all. But ideally, we want to be as, we wanted to be as great as possible. So the more time, the better.
Absolutely. And that makes me think, and I know we said we let you get off here, but does it always have to be weddings? Can you do, it's really a setup question because I think it's a softball pitch. Can you do seminars? Can you do kids functions? How much broader than weddings do you like to dabble in?
So I'm glad you brought that up, right? And so I told you I can talk about business, right? So as I was studying about our business model, when we first started Lawrence Event Planning Company, it was before I put the event planning company at the bottom, it said events, design, and production. And so I was on the wavelength where we would just do, we'll do everything, right? And so to a certain extent we do, but I've learned that it's better to be a master of one thing than to be okay at a bunch of other things. So my main focus is weddings, right? So when you go to my website, you mainly just see wedding stuff. Do we do other events? Yeah, we do birthday parties. If the event is, I protect my brand too. So that's another thing. You got to protect your brand. So if the event that's not a wedding can represent the Lawrence brand the way that I want it to, then we'll take it. If not, I'll probably defer it out to someone else. So yes, I'm open to doing things that make sense for the brand, but I also want to stick to the core values because that's what brings you a consistent market and get you to the point that you want to get to. So there was a person that I'm following that kind of made mention that, hey, find one thing and just become the go-to person for that. And so, my goal is when a person says, hey, I'm getting married, who's a wedding planner, there won't be a question of who to call. I'm okay if somebody says, well, somebody called me today and said, hey, do you know anybody that can face paint? Well, I don't, we don't handle face painting, but I don't even know a person that does it. I want to be known for, being a great wedding planner, but obviously, we do other events, and I'm open to anything that, that keeps us within those images that you flash, and that's what's important to me right now is being able to stick to the core values and, being focused in that.
Yeah. I definitely understand that, and I get you on that as far as, like I said, protecting your brand. I appreciate you bringing that concept up because I guess in one of the images that I'm looking at, and I'll try to flash this up as I'm speaking about it, but as it loads, I'm really more so interested in, let's see if I get this, and forgive me for the fact that it's smaller, but as we start developing our local Black business initiative here. And as far as walking on the same platform as some of our counterparts, as far as the initiatives that are here locally, having you serve in your capacity for the event itself. So if we put on end of the year function, such as a business function or an economic roundtable, if you will, or something to where, like we're talking now, sharing, a panel discussion on how to build a brand or how to build a business. If we were at the Patterson and set up a platform with chairs up front, mini training session, if you will, that's formalized in that way, where it's not necessarily the planning per se, but more so like the image of how it's set up. Is that still within your brand's, willingness or desires?
Oh yeah, I'm definitely yes, I would love to do that. I would absolutely love to do that. Yeah, it's within what we do. I've wanted to do something like that. I was just trying to figure out, what's the best way for me to be impactful. And so yeah, if we can discuss that and figure out what works, I would love to do that. I would love to be a part of that, whether it be offering the services in some capacity, or speaking about it, or whatever I can do to make it work. And that picture that you've shown there is just another example. That was a wedding, right? It's one of our first weddings that when we started the business, and that wedding was done for less than $2,000 for about 200 people.
Wow.
I'll never do that again, right? So but yeah, I'm definitely open for that. And I would love to talk about it. I mean, whatever you guys need me to do, I'm open for that.
Well, I appreciate that because that's really what I'm, locally, that I'm leaning on with some of the council members and people afar. I kind of mention this each show when we talk about bringing guests in because that's really what we're evolving into in this South Georgia area. And I'm learning more about the individuals that have, strengths in areas, and then we can build our own team, if you will, to push that agenda forward, because quite frankly and candidly, and telling you, no one else is doing it for us here. And, hopefully you get where I'm going with that. But that's just South Georgia and how it is. But we've got to push our own images to the forefront. And, this, what I'm looking at as far as your work, I can see where you are a piece to this puzzle because it's not about the party aspect, but really what we're talking here, pure education, setting some standards about how we run business, how we can collectively share knowledge, at a table at a function, and how we can have an award ceremony. I mean, I can go on about, some of the vision here, but, really put this really together the right way over a set period of time. So, I definitely commend you for what you're doing. And like I said, I'm always impressed when I see the images that you post. I just give you all the encouragement to keep doing what you're doing, and you already have it, as far as I can tell from the conversation that you've already shared with how you and your wife think about your business. So we appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yes, sir. And like I said, I told you I can talk about this all day. So, because I want to have as much content for people who will look at this at a later time. How you make a decision on how you want your business to be perceived by other people. It's not on accident how people perceive the Lawrence Event Planning Company. When I talk to a lot of people that say, "What do you think about the company?" The words I hear a lot is professional, elegant, classy. That is on purpose. That when I created the logo, I created it a certain way because I wanted to be projected in a way that people would respect it. And so I would tell anybody when we start this panel, we start a discussion, you got to really put thought into how you want your brand to be perceived by other people. And you've got to protect it. Once you've figured it out, and once people have commended you on how they perceive your business, and you take a liking to it, it's your responsibility to protect it at all costs. And that's what that's what I've, in addition to putting on these amazing events that I feel like we do, also protecting it is also is just as important as it is, getting the booking for it.
Well, I think we're on the same page, brother. And I can see it, and I see that you see yourself in that capacity to be able to help and serve and pour back into our business community. I tell you, I'm unapologetically Black when it comes to this mission, if you will, and we're gonna make it happen. I mean, because I see a lot of images throughout your dealings are at the Patterson, and again, that's Black owned at this point. And so as much as we can to empower our Black businesses, utilize our Black businesses first, not just talk about it, but actively execute that. So as we execute this initiative and move forward to, I don't like to say, even if it's a seminar of the business minds, it's going to be Black from the bottom to the top. So I don't care if it's the catering, whatever.
Oh yeah. Okay, I'm ready, man. I can't wait. Just keep me informed, because there's a lot of things that our Black businesses can hear and learn and understand. That would help us, help us a lot. We're not perfect, and we need a lot of help. We need a lot of minds collaborating to figure out how we. I watch, I actually done all the time. These non-Black businesses are finding ways to get the funding. They get the trucks, they get in the business vehicles, they get in the credit, they're building, buildings left and right. And I was like, they are not that much smarter than us to be able to get these things and for us not to be able to have the same thing. It's just a matter of figuring out what the hack is and making it happen. And a lot of it has to do with how we present ourselves, and then also putting ourselves in a position personally to be able to have the things that the other ones they're already doing it, and they're filing bankruptcies. They don't always have perfect credit score, but they figured it out. And we gotta do the same thing, and that's what I hope that seminar can get us on that same wavelength.
Well, that definitely ties into the level of group economics that we don't practice. That we've gotten away from. And that's the purpose of this blueprint process, is to reestablish that connection, that network, like Black was saying, knowing that, we can have, the property owner be Black, the event planner be Black, the people that are the patrons be Black, all of the vendors are Black, like have kind of revive or resurrect, that Black Wall Street type mentality and experience. Because I mean, we're partnering with other individuals that have mentoring programs and things like that, which will provide you an opportunity to have children to volunteer, who may want to become event planners. They can shadow you in high school or whatever, or work parties or work wedding parties or what have you, to get that experience, to get that knowledge. That's what we're focusing on, with this platform. So with the spirit that you carry and the dreams and desires that you have in your business, we think it'll be an awesome addition to the community. We really appreciate you coming on and sharing your heart with us, and sharing your journey with us, because you taught us some things tonight. And I've been watching the comments. A lot of people can appreciate, the gems and nuggets you're dropping. So we wish you the best and success in your business, you and your wife. We know it's not easy, but when you focus, you can do anything. So thank you so much, Mr. James, for sharing your heart with us tonight.
Thank y'all so much.
All right. Salute. Yeah, exactly. Have a good evening.
All right, you too. Thank y'all.
Amazing guest, man. Amazing guest. I appreciate it.
Yeah. He was dropping a lot of nuggets there, man. So that was a lot to take in. But I think that one of the things that resonated with me the most is just make sure you're creating value. I don't think a lot of people focus on that. They're so concerned about chasing the bag that sometimes it get lost in the shuffle. You need to create value, and then that will, perpetuate your reputation to create your own bag the right way. Yeah.
That whole idea with the entrepreneurship, I think, with the group economics, I think the group economic and the entrepreneurship scenario definitely has to be something that kind of walks in tandem, because we already know we have so many things against us, even in the beginning, in the onset of starting a business or even trying to do it the right way with the funding and etc. And many of the times we have to jump those hurdles, and many of the times the doors are closed and the gates are locked in certain situations. But the hack, like he was talking about the hack, one of the hacks is the group economics, letting us understand that if we're starting a business as a group, it's going to be something that's going to be shared success in the very beginning, but it'll at least get the ball rolling. It'll at least allow us to have things, up and going in our communities that we can resort to. And then as we continue to use that group economic status or model, eventually we can gain enough capital to then branch off, into solo entrepreneurial endeavors. So I think the hack is going to be that group. My dog, I guess he want to talk all of a sudden, but I think that group economics piece is the hack, because that's exactly what got Tulsa and all the other, as we're starting to learn, all the many other places around the country that were I guess isolated, gems in our community. I think that it all was built behind that group economic status. And I mean, we've gotten away from that because we all want to ball on our own. But we have to get back to pooling our money together, and being successful. Like I said, having that shared success in the beginning, but eventually amassing enough where we can kind of branch out and do our own thing. So, that's just my spiel.
Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly. It's multifaceted. An additional point is the obvious also, but I'll say it also is that we are utilizing each other's services.
Yeah.
While we practice, group economics to lift the ship, if you will, or lift the rocket, at the same time, if we can find that, like brother, matter of fact, I think he's watching. I got to send him a link, see if he can chime in also as brother Dedrick Mathis. In the real estate industry, you're always going to need an inspector. All right. Then I'm going to use Dedrick Mathis every chance I get. If there is a wedding, like you just said, that brother Lawrence presented, if there's a wedding, I'm going to always call him no matter what. We have to just think that wholeheartedly, unapologetically, if I can say that right 3 times, but that we're going to utilize Black services as much as we can. And just like Edward said, is that in the meanwhile, with group economics, we can fill in the voids that don't exist currently. So like when I say, utilize Black services, where's our Black grocery store, right? We don't necessarily have one, and that's hard to not go to Publix or Walmart. So we get it. So, but what is the plan to eventually get one? All right. And then what is the plan to eventually have, our own services that support our community? And so we have to pour into that idea. But as it stands right now, it has to be first and foremost, utilize Black services to the extent that is possible to do so. And then we can start really changing the culture.
And really nowadays it's really easier to kind of identify and locate those businesses. I mean, you yourself have created a directory for our area. And you can just go down that entire list, and all of those people on that list are Black-owned entrepreneurs and business owners. So it's really not that hard as people may think it might be, in order to support, to build a support Black-owned. Just really got to do that. It's easy to go to Walmart. It's easy to go to the the big stores or whatever, but you really have to make an effort, a conscious effort, that I'm going to support my own, because eventually it's going to help, like you were saying, Brother Bo, the greater good collectively. Mm-hmm.
And, we have this stigma that, Brother Lawrence touched upon as far as the quality of work, that he and his wife make sure that there is no doubt that you're getting quality. And I think that's the other end of it, that we as Black business owners are responsible for, is helping to change that culture through the continual improvement process. I don't care where you start. We started, for our tenants, giving them like paper receipts. We started giving them, printout receipts eventually. Then now it's automated through a system where they get an emailed receipt automatically. And so as you progress, improve your quality so that then you're able to present a stronger case for continual support.
Why do you think that brings up a good point when it comes to entrepreneurship in our community? Why do you think there is such a rampant mindset in our community when it comes to not being licensed, not being certified, not being legit, but still being in business? I mean, is that something that you think will survive this, this reset, or is that something that, I mean, what is that born out of? Is that born out of just
it's everything's going to go back to slave mentality, and candidly, whether it steps on toes or whatever, it is what it is, and we can't shy away from everything really connected that we've been talking about. Suzette, you talked about that we're on part 5 of this. Everything that we talked about is and will be connected. Mental health, the mental illnesses, the behaviors and the constructs that we've had woven into our psyche. A lot of that, going back to your question, is slave mentality. As I said, you can travel up north and it's not a problem. Not that there is no problem at all, but the point is that it's a different culture and a mindset, and it exists. And we have to actually cure ourselves by helping ourselves realize that, we have to separate from this white is right mentality that, our counterparts have the best quality business, et cetera. I mean, they're not cutting you a deal. I mean, if you're talking about, just like, good question, as far as, discounts and the hookup, because we do it to ourselves. When you go to do, again, I'm thinking real estate, when you go to get flooring done to your local flooring expert, you're not necessarily hitting them up with the hookup speech. But then when you have somebody come into your home, you are expecting them to give you a hookup. But that's counterintuitive to the growth of the culture and our entrepreneurs that are trying to grind. Then counter to that, to your question though, and you can tell I've talked about this a lot, but we have to, as business owners, set ourselves up for success also. So if you are, a floor laborer in the sense of laying flooring, it would be worthwhile for you to get on the path, if not already, and everyone starts where they are. So there's nothing wrong with not being insured there is something wrong intuitively, because you want to protect yourself. But what I'm saying is that everybody has to start where they are. And as far as the licenses go, you have to eventually get that to show that, the quality of work is going to be ingrained into your practices. That's the point of the license. But, as far as selection part from the consumer, that's, beauty is in the eye of the beholder as far as who you want to select. But we have to not necessarily look at it like, oh, the other person or the other counterparts are better because, oh, this person isn't licensed. We find great value in our industry using people that just know what to do. I mean, that's really where we come from as a culture. We've been building this country for centuries and not licensed. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we really, literally 400 years ago, we're not licensed, but we built the country, and so we have it within us to be able to do that. But as far as the mindset goes, we cannot continue to operate under old standards. We have to raise our own bar, but not necessarily exclude providers because, me as a consumer, I won't use anybody who's not, licensed or hasn't proven themselves otherwise. I mean, if you're not challenging the counterparts like that, then don't challenge us, but if you are being that way, either side of the coin, then that's a fair comment to make to the business owner that you might want to step your game up. And that's what Mr. Lawrence talked about, that exemplifies, is that he's always looking for ways to step his game up. And that's really what it's all about when you're talking about the mentality of us here in the South.
And really, I think to your question, Brother Bold, I think more people are moving towards being licensed and getting all the certification that they need because of the how everything is set up now. You know, if you go through an insurance company, they're going to request that you get someone that's certified. And, you know, so a lot of those arenas, you know, there are people who still exist, who still operate. You know, we call them shade tree mechanics or whatever, what have you. There are a lot of people that still do it, but you're doing yourself a disservice financially because you're boxing yourself out of a category that you can't enter in. You know, because you can contract with different, you know, businesses when you have the proper credentials in place. So really, you know, if you want, it just depends on how successful you want to be. If you want to be successful, you're going to get all the credential and the certifications you need to open up different doors of revenue for you. So I don't think that that's going to survive, or that's not going to cut it anymore, you know.
Not if we want to progress. I mean, we're talking about generational wealth for the Black family, and in a capitalistic society, we're not going to change from that as far as how America is driven on capitalism. And the way the game has always been is through contracting to get to that next level. And if you can get contracts, I mean, you're on a different playing field there. But again, just like Brother Lawrence talked about, is that he studies his profession. And in the cases of the shade tree mechanic, you've got to study that profession. And I'm not talking about the skill set only, because you have to build your skill set and perfect your skill set as close as possible. But learning the industry opportunities that are out there, because, you know, in Lowndes County, the city and the county has contracting opportunities, but a lot of times we are not even on the playing field because we don't, going back to your question, have the licenses in place. We don't have the levels of insurance that are not recommended, but required for that contract to even be on our playing field. And so those are the areas to where, as you grow, you may not have the level of insurance, the $1 million policy, but have it on your radar that I'm going to set aside, I don't know, $50, $100 a month so that I can buy that policy, or set aside the practice to say, if I can set aside $50 and that policy is going to cost me $50 a month, get into the practice of setting that aside so that you know that I can't afford that. So that then you can position yourselves with the connecting piece there, is that it's all connected. It's about the networking, then being in the same arenas, you know, to hear about what contracts are out there. But it's a lot of knowledge, man. It's beyond just the skill set. It's beyond just the you know, the business practices. It's the networking piece. It's who you know in the community. I mean, it's an endless list, but we have to be at that playing level to achieve that open the door opportunity.
Yeah. And that's one of the main reasons why, you know, I brought up the question, because you know, that's been our hurdle. That's probably one of our major setbacks in our community when it comes to those especially the skilled laborers in our communities, you know, electricians, carpenters, people like that. I mean, they can do certain jobs, but, you know, when it comes time to build, I don't know, Colonial Mall, or you know, when it comes time to
the big commercial contracts.
Yeah, exactly.
Out there,
they lock themselves out of it. Yeah,
exactly.
Industrial Park and things like that. And I know it's expensive, and I understand that there are some other challenges with that, but I just really believe that that's going to be a major piece in allowing us to, even if we don't win any contracts with them, you know, if there are some investors that come into Valdosta that are looking for minorities and minorities only, I mean, at that time, you know, we're prepared. You know, like you were saying, we're prepared for to take on those large jobs. And I think because a lot of people don't even realize that in Atlanta, when they built Hartsfield-Jackson, when they built the actual runway, the people who paved the runway for the airport had never done it before. It's a black company. It's a black concrete paving company, but they had never done it before. But because the people who were over selecting the contractors wanted it to be black, and they were forced to have a black contractor because they were trying to give it to others. And so they basically were forced to find a black contractor. So the person who was over it went and found the guy who we know does parking lots and driveways and sidewalks. And he was like, hey, get this contract. It was something he had never done before that big. but because he had his ducks in a row, he could go out there and learn on the fly.
I'm going to tell you right now,
Yeah.
and I'm not going to divulge names, but you know, we get a lot of opportunity, hit and miss every now and again, beyond just what we do as far as managing properties. We get a lot of opportunity because we know, hats off to my wife Amanda as far as where she's come from with our previous corporate life in the sense of managing building construction stand-ups for the intelligence community. But with regard to that, we get opportunity for renovation projects because we know what's going on. And I'll tell you, the people that give us the heads up, it's just because there's no one else that knows what to do to pull it together from a management standpoint. And it's like you said, it's a set aside that's available, but they're looking around. There's nobody in the programs that are trying to provide set aside opportunities. And so, you know, you end up, like you just said, finding somebody that, you know, hey, I want to feed somebody in our community with this opportunity. And there you go. But I wanted to also just give a nod to, you know, to say like for JP Pereira, he actually is a contractor that we work with on the side for some opportunities. And JP and his crew, man, he's got a small crew and they work. They work throughout the day. When they get on a job, they hit it hard. And he's somebody that, you know, I definitely would throw hats off to because he's on the grind. I mean, he can actually build out the house after it's framed. He can do anything else. And the point is that when you asked about mentoring, it's really just getting somebody like him underneath a general contractor to fill in the last gaps for his knowledge base. And then all of a sudden he can be a licensed general contractor. But as far as a lot of the skill set that's out there, we can do a lot for each other as far as opening the doors and then also really supporting the businesses that are flourishing and just miss that last little gap that's necessary.
Yeah. But that's going to be a big thing. I know Suzette's about to chat. I'm just going to throw this in and I'll give it to you. That's another big thing that I think is huge that I just have to continuously reiterate is that group economic mind frame. That mindset is the hack. And we got to stop overlooking that option because, I mean, at this point, you're talking about, think about this. All you have to do pretty much is to be in position because there are connections. There's avenues to get into the business. There's avenues to get onto these contracts. But again, if I'm not networking, if I'm not a part of these different groups and you know having these contacts and these connections, I might miss my opportunity.
We'll miss it.
To the Hartfield Jackson situation.
Yeah.
Contractor who was over the company knew who was, you know, actually divvying out the contracts. Right. But he knew he wasn't going to be selected, but because he knew the guy considered him. So that's what I'm saying. Like, and that's exactly what you were saying. Just being in position and knowing who to connect with, know who has the, you know, the key to get into this room or that room. Because we don't all have to be able to talk. We don't always have to be the ones going into the rooms. But again, that group economics, somebody needs to be able to go in there and speak for us, bring it back and give the contract over to one of us. This is how we've got to start thinking moving forward because it's uncertain, right?
Yeah. I'm going to tell you.
Our society, our everything is uncertain, but we still can lead by reframing or rethinking or unlearning to relearn. So
I'm gonna tell you the hack for business success is additional hack, because there's a list of them like you already gave a couple earlier, but and another additional hack is relationship building. You cannot sustain our challenge or flourish and grow your business if you are not interested in networking and building relationships. And I'm not talking about your little business after hours, go mingle with some people and think you're going to, you know, change the world. I'm talking about building relationships with people, sitting down and just talking about business or whatever, and expecting nothing in return is where I'm going. There are times that we sit with people and we think, What can they do for us? And that's not the case. That you need to have the mentality or mindset when you're talking about business. Is what can you do for that person? Because what's going to happen is that the next time they think of an opportunity, guess who they're going to think about first? Is you.
So true.
That's how we've got to, turn the dial in communities like ours here in Lowndes County, Valdosta, is that we've got to actually start working for each other together. Is the normal way of saying it, working together. But how do you work together? What does that mean? We have to start servicing each other. How can I help you? What connections can I provide to you so that you can be more successful? And in turn, it's just going to reciprocate, because I'm telling you, and I hate to be somewhat blunt, but some people may see this and feel a certain way on our counterpart side, but our current entities that are business focused are not focused on you flourishing as a Black business. It is what it is. You read in between the lines on that. And that's really what it is when you're talking about being Black and bold. We have to start working for each other, because no one else is really trying to dial that needle, because there are certain boys clubs and shoulder rubbing that's going on that that dial is not going to turn because of the set regime that supposedly regime that's here and has been here. We're in South Georgia. We have to understand, just like the art of war, know thy enemy in the word of choice there. But really understand what's going on. We cannot fake the funk thinking that, it's just going to get better. They're going to include us. No, they include who they want to include. I know they include me in some stuff. And I'm like, but that ain't enough.
Yeah.
That ain't enough. And then if you say something that is counterintuitive to what their ultimate strategies and plans are, either you better be ready for the shun, or even just the placating, and you got to be able to respond to that. Yeah. Because with the placating, you got to be able to keep pushing your point. And if they're going to shun you, you better be in a position where you can sustain, because a lot of people don't speak up because of where they sit in the position, as far as, the money, where it comes from. You might have funding that's coming in from one of the larger organizations. And so you don't speak because you're afraid that funding might get taken away, or you got a 9-to-5 that you want to speak and they go call somebody else. So we've got to put ourselves in positions to where we are knowledgeable but confident, because we know that we have something else to fall back on.
Yeah. Suzette?
Yeah, so we were talking about building relationships and talking about networking. So Brother Black, could you for our viewers help them to find the directory that you created? And could you put it in the chat as well?
Let me go to the chat, because I was about to just blab it off, but let me be smart here and get in the chat. Hold on a sec. But as I'm typing, it is www.valdostablack-owned.com. So as in Black owned businesses, valdostablack-owned.com. And that's a directory that is ever growing, because the more that we learn about what businesses we have here in the Valdosta, Lowndes County, neighboring counties, it's called Valdosta Black owned. But if you're in Lanier County, Cook County, whatever, submit the business that or submit the business that you own and operate, and we'll put it in the listing. But the more that we know about the businesses that operate in our area, the more that we can support them. For example, there's a Flower Island Cakes that my wife and I love, but if she never submitted the business, I never would have known Nina Sanchez existed, other than Facebook. And I'll tell you that, I'm sorry, I'm gonna rant a little bit on that, is that Facebook is not your advertising platform. Understand that Facebook is a story, it's a timeline. So if you put something in the timeline, it will disappear that day, like scrolling. So it's not a static advertising. So going back to what Brother Lawrence talked about, one of the first things he did was set up his business professionally. How can people contact you? And it's not necessarily just a startup domain, but also a website. so that people can go to that. Then focus on your branding, focus on your connections, your research. I mean, he gave a mini book, a pamphlet of key points. Start your business in 5 steps, and you follow those, you're on your way. But we have to make sure that we know where all our businesses are also, and that's what that listing provides. I think we have over 285 businesses as of to date. I can't promise if everybody's still in business after it being a year of them being published, but that's the quantity that we have in that listing. So you can start there, and that's my point. Start there. Whether you're looking for restaurants, roofers, flooring professionals, healthcare, we have that in there. So, I mean, Suzette, you're in there also, right? Want to make sure you're not. Oh, yeah, you are. Okay.
Yes,
make sure that
I am in there.
that you're in there listed. So, yes. I just want to make sure I got you listed.
Well, I am in there, but even prior to me becoming in there, as I said, I have a background, most of you know, in healthcare. Even prior to getting there, I went to that website and I was very impressed. And like you said, I didn't know 280 some businesses, really. Like, it's a lot of businesses that we could patronize in there that we don't necessarily have to go outside of our community to get the services that we need. So you have to make an effort, though. You have to make a conscious effort that this is what we're going to do. The group economics, am I saying that right, Black?
Yes.
Brother Black?
Yes.
The group, that's something that you're doing on a purpose. You know, you're saying you have to have a purpose to do it. You know, it just doesn't come naturally. And of course, the mainstream is not going to push it. So that has to come from within our community. So yeah, I love that website. I pass it on. You know, whether I'm on there or not, I definitely pass it on. Like, have you checked the website? You know, so yeah, network. Come on, guys. You know, that's something you have to actively participate in.
Yeah. And the thing about it is that, you know, when you talk about being intentional, actively networking, actively looking on the list, actively looking for other Black businesses, that's what our counterparts are doing. I mean, really, I'm telling you, I'm letting you know that the entities that are here that are business focused, I've said that in between the lines enough, they're not necessarily calling Big Nick to cater for their events. They're calling the same Covingtons that's downtown. Mm-hmm. They're calling the same, you know, Jesse's that's downtown also. And so we have to think like that. I mean, they know that we've got businesses as much as we own soul food down here, but we're not being called to the table or to the room to service their ongoing programs and functions and seminars. That's why, you know, I brought up the idea with Brother Lawrence is that if we get together collectively and start talking about an annual function, and I'm not talking party only, because we clearly know how to party. We can set up, you know, different events, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But we have to start talking about other subjects when it comes to, just like tonight, business and entrepreneurship, but teaching people how to navigate that journey the right way, the most appropriate way, the legal way, and also that you're not alone. I mean, we've got people we heard the brother's story, we heard his mindset. Not many people would have known that if it wasn't for, you know, us giving him the platform. And he's one of those guys that is excited to share that story, excited to talk about business. You know, if we gave him another 30 minutes and he probably upset his wife, you know what I'm saying? You know, we don't want to do that. But he's the type of person that if given a platform like we're talking about, and in concert with those that are in the listing, we should be able to really educate ourselves on what to do in business.
Yeah, I want to send a challenge out for everybody that's on the live, and shout out to Brother Mathis. He said I received some calls and jobs from the website alone. So we know that it's definitely operable, and we know that it's going to be fruitful for you, you know, if you utilize it. But I want to send out a challenge. First of all, I want to challenge everybody on this in the chat and is watching. Or who will watch, to go to your Google and go to www.valdosteblackon.com and bookmark it, make it one of your favorites. And then the second thing I want to challenge you all to do is there was a couple, probably about 5 between 5 and 10 years ago, they did a challenge, but for 1 year, one entire year, they patronized only Black businesses for 1 whole year. I want to challenge you all. I know the economy is tripping. I know that we probably we've got some shipping things going on, and but I want us to make sure that from at least from now to the end of the year that we try to patronize as many Black businesses as we can. I mean, even if you have a business that you've been patronizing consistently for the past 5 or 10 years, I challenge you, if they're not Black, I challenge you to find someone Black doing the same thing. Give your own a chance. This is the first step of, well, not the first, but another step that we could take when you're talking about repairing the Black family. And that is, sometimes our children need to see Black business owners. Our children need to see Black contractors. Our children need to see Black electricians. Our children need to see Black event planners, whatever it might be, instead of just doctors and dentists and teachers. I mean, we need to see Black in all facets of business. So find someone in that book for whatever you need from now to the end of the year, at least, and patronize someone Black as often as you can, because the more they grow, the more we grow. So that's just my challenge.
Yeah, you want to use me on the list? I ain't gonna be mad at you. Just
what's that?
Look on my website. I got one of those.
Oh, you got a website? But at least they can find your information on the page and then go to your website.
Yeah, exactly. However you do it, bookmark our businesses. Yes, definitely. That reference that you made is Maggie Anderson. I followed that. It was several years ago. Yeah. Maggie Anderson, she wrote a book, Our Black Year, One Family's Quest to Buy Black in America's Racially Divided Economy. Yeah. And she'll, if you can basically YouTube it also, if you don't want to go, through the book or whatever. But I think she may have even has a TED Talk, but she talks about that on YouTube, and it's challenging. She had a challenge with it. But, you see, basically, we have more of a consumer position, but we need to start leveraging that.
Yes.
Because as you know, I mean, we're what, I forget what it was, the stat, but it's like $2 trillion in consumer power. But, a lot of that goes through in and out our community, obviously, within a matter of minutes, as far as what we buy within our next shopping cycle. And so you think about that. For those that don't understand, the time of a dollar, I forget, correct me on the actual term, but basically how long the dollar lasts in that community is that, so if we actually need, I don't know, just give me a product, guys, other than food, like flooring. We talk about, houses. So flooring, if we need flooring, first person we call is Home Depot. Right. And they're going to give you some contractors out of their contractor list, or for the sake of Dedrick. Right. Matter of fact, put him on blast here because he's an actual person you can call. All right. So if you need a home inspection, all right, instead of thumbing through on Google, looking up a home inspector and you find somebody, perhaps he's not at the top of the list or whatnot, but you see basically that it's this, generic person that obviously doesn't look like us, then you keep scrolling. You look at the Valdosta Black owned website, put in home inspections, or in the drop down search value, find home inspections. You find Dedrick, call him, give that money to a Black owned business, Black operating business, because that's going to benefit him more than our community. That's going to benefit him and our community more than it will if you actually call, Sue Brown. That's not necessarily in our community. And this is not something that we should be ashamed to talk about. As I'm freely saying, pass by the person that comes up in Google first, and find Dedrick in this case.
I come up in Google first in mine.
Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me. So, right.
Do your due diligence and
do your research. Yeah.
Find somebody else.
Find out who that person is that owns the business. Right. Exactly. So no matter what listing they show up in, find out who it is and be intentional about shopping Black.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with picking up the phone and asking.
Absolutely. I mean, well, in any arena, I specifically support, patronizing Black owned, but in any, I always do my research. I look at reviews, I see customer reviews and all of that. So you need to do your research on no matter who it is. But once you do that, then you will identify that they are indeed Black owned business.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with asking. I've gone in a couple of places, for instance, food related. I've gone into Creations. That's the smoothie bar near the Castle Park area in Valdosta. Before I knew about it, as far as who it is, I went and I asked the brother, "Who owns this? Is it Black owned?" And he told me that Timothy Bryant and him, Rico, co-owned the shop there. And so that's how I just find out. Most people just don't go into a place and just ask the question. I went into what's the one? Not hip hop, because I matter of fact, I did ask in there a couple of years ago because I just wanted to know. They started laying their groundwork as far as building franchises here on the south side and on the north side. A-Town was the other one though. So I went into both of those a couple of years ago when I didn't know and just asked and say, "Is this Black owned?" And usually it's us at the counter anyway, and then them in the back are coming in to check on the facility. And so the point is that, sometimes we just say what it is. The young lady at the counter, sister, she told me, she was like, "Nah, we don't own it." He's like, he's in the back there. The owner's is Asian. And so at that point, I'm like, the chicken is good, but I'll find somewhere else. And we have to just sometimes lay down that temptation and service our own or patronize our own businesses.
I think that's paramount. I think that's something that we have to get back to because I was looking at some of the products that Brother Matthews was putting in the chat, and he brought up gas stations, and it made me think about our grandparents and great grandparents, etc. Seemingly they had a desire to be economically free by creating their own business, maintaining their own lives, setting their own, financial goals or ceilings or whatever. And I think that is something that we've lost. If we go into our communities, only thing we see is Asian or Indian. And when you're talking about owning anything, and to be honest with you, I think it's really an insult because none of these people live in our neighborhoods. None of them live in our neighborhoods. And I know that for a fact for some of those in Valdosta, because I know exactly where some of them live when I used to work with the Southern Company. So I know that they didn't live nowhere near Fry Street, nowhere near Lee Street, nowhere near none of that stuff. But it's like they put their roots in a place that they're unwilling to invest or unwilling to live. And so I think it's incumbent upon us to do our very best to rather find a way to kind of finagle into taking the store over, or finding other areas to provide the same product. And even if the product might be 25 cents more at the Black store because I don't have a direct connect wherever, I think we still should patronize our own to recognize that if you're going to do business in our community, you need to reinvest in our community. And I think the only way we're going to find that to be true is someone who looks like us in our community. So I want to encourage all of us, and I want to encourage all of us, develop or rediscover, your desire to be financially free, to be an entrepreneur, and be willing to do the work, be willing to do the hard stuff, be willing to make the sacrifices, because that's how we also talk. We haven't talked about a lot of it tonight, but we did for a little bit, but that's another way to create that generational wealth. Give our children something to roll right into. And so that if that's something that they don't want to do necessarily, they're still learning business. They're still operating in business. And when they find something that they want to do, they can take those same principles and just transfer those over to whatever industry that they're passionate about. But I think that's something we really need to get. I don't care if it's a lawn business. Do you know how much money lawn business?
What I'm telling you, man, because those that probably know that because of the capacity that we deal with our properties, we throw that in on the side. Mm-hmm. And so because my dad owns lawn equipment, I just making side money off of that. And so the point is, you're right though. But the point, and I say just like with Jonathan Lucas, he's in an area, and I'm going to admit Dedrick here in a minute here, but he's in an area that he is able to access contracts. And going back to that, that's how you become one of the methods of becoming financially free. Not just, like you say, it's nothing wrong with pushing the lawnmower and just making your ends meet with lawn service, but you really, if you're in Valdosta, you're gonna see some lawn trucks, not trailers. They got a big trailer closed up that's bringing in lawn equipment to the house. So that's another aspect. And as I let him in, I want to just mention he's coming in, and his audio is going to connect in a sec as he unmutes to announce himself. But one thing that I commend Brother Mathis on that I want to say in relation to what we're talking about as far as showing your children, all right? Because the more that we show our children that, one, we are shopping Black owned. We've been doing this since we, moved out of DC, and our kids are the same way. They'll ask, where we going? Is it Black owned? Or they know, in the sense of whether it's not. But that's the mentality that we're nourishing, cultivating within them. And Brother Mathis, when I meet him on site, guess who he's got coming with him? His son. Like you said, he's showing him how to run the business. But even if his son doesn't want to take on that in that capacity, he's learning very good principles and techniques in order to be successful. Brother Mathis, how you doing tonight?
Man, I done made it.
Hey, man, you finally made it.
You made it, bro. You made
it. You can put that on me, bro. I forgot to send you the link.
I done made it, man. Man, it's absolutely wonderful, man. I check you guys out, man. On the replay on a lot of stuff, man, and it's most definitely Black, most definitely bold, and most definitely beautiful.
Yeah,
no pun intended.
No, not most, right. Not
Yeah,
most
but it is. It is
close.
Black, bold, and it's beautiful because it kind of is what it is, man.
It is what it is, my brother.
Yeah. Tell us about what you offer first. Let's set the groundwork where, as far as where you're coming from with your input, but we want to make sure that as people see you on camera right now, that they know what you're on camera for. What is it that you're about, business wise?
Okay, business wise, what I do, or okay, yeah. Well, I'm a certified home inspector. I went through the courses, went through 120 hours of reading all kind of stuff, and I'm certified through ASHI and International, which is certain home inspectors. You got to have that stamp. I started off last year. I was hearing about the research and things of that nature. Like, I did a lot of research on it, but certified with home inspection, certified with light commercial. I can't do the big ones because you need big ladders, and then they got certain electrical boxes that's way bigger, for a bigger building like the federal building and stuff. But I do light commercials, man. Probably less than, long as it's not 3 stories, up or whatnot. I can go through, long as I don't have elevators and things of that nature. Like, I can go through and inspect it all, man. I done still training, still looking, still learning. Even before I was listening to Brother Lawrence, I did the same exact thing with him. I was like, I am not telling nobody I'm going forward. So I get my website up. Even though I got a Gmail thing, I was like, cause right at the time I ain't had the money to get the info, the domain at the time. So I was like, sure, I'm just go with this. But I got a website and got a professional, went and got my hats done, shirts done, went and got the whole 9 yards. Because I said, when I show up, I don't want you to just think this a hustle. Yeah. I want you to know that this is a business, and this ain't, oh, I see you got, I see you do. No, I ain't doing nothing. It's a business. Yeah. Because every time people, especially us, we see see some people see me with it and I'll say, who you work for? And I'm like, I work for myself. You know, because they think when you got everything on from the hat to the shirt and you dress, they think you got to work for somebody, you know, because they used to seeing certain things. But I tell them, I say, I'm working toward getting my truck painted so it can, you know, so all that takes time, but I made sure that I got everything in line before I even put it out there. But I was also training too. So I followed somebody for months before I even went, because I got insurance. I'm insured. Everything, because I know if I step through somebody's roof going in that attic, I'm
not coming out your pocket.
Yeah. So I'd be very, 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 very cautious. But I followed somebody for months, man. Just following them while I was getting my ducks in a row. And so now I'm here. So I was building the social media, you know, platform. I didn't want to be, I'm a person to know you got your own page, you know, and things of that nature. So I didn't want people to look at it as, oh, okay, I see Dedrick doing home inspection. No, I see Dedrick with a business. Mm-hmm. You know, I see Dedrick as an entrepreneur, and I wanted my kids to see that. I wanted them, that was my motivation, that first of all, working on a job, I want them to know that working on the job, it's good, don't get me wrong, but they think that we need them. Like they have that type of attitude, so they feel like they can talk to you in a kind of way and treat you in a kind of way and things of that nature. And when I left my job in 2007 on base, I had been doing maintenance work on hotels for like 10 years. So I know, and I probably about over 100 and some rooms I had to take care of. 1, 2, 3, 4, about 6, 7 buildings I had to take care of. So I know about stuff, but one day I just asked the Lord, I was like, man, okay, I'm not the type of preacher that want the church to take care of me. Not that guy. You know, I'm the type of person that I want to make my money. Thank God for what I did, but I'm not that guy. You know, just when I said, okay, Lord, I know you told me get away from this, but I needed time with my kids too. You know, and that was important to me because I was missing stuff, man. And I was like, man, working at 9 to 5, you couldn't get off, and you know, this, that, then a kid gets sick, or you know, whatever. You couldn't get off, but them points add up. You know, so them points add up. So I was like, okay, what can I do where I could be flexible? I could make my own hours. He said, well, he literally told me, say, you used to work on it. Now you don't have to do nothing but point it out. Yeah. And you could make way more money.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I was like,
it's a no-brainer, right?
That's absolutely no-brainer, man. And I went to, I did it, man. And actually, me and my cousin, we were just in conversation, and it came up. And I was like, man, you know, I ain't never really thought about it. Did my research on how many of us was doing home inspection in this area. One person. One. Like if it's any more, but around Warner Robinson, Macon, Atlanta area, plenty of us up there. Around this area here. And I'm the second one. If it's somebody else, I don't know. But I was searching, because I was Googling, I was looking up, I was looking, and it's really not but about 12, between 12 to 15 people that does it in this area and the surrounding counties. And I was looking at that, and I was like, this is the arena we need to step into.
Absolutely. That kind of reminds me of what Brother Lawrence was talking about, was, you know, him doing that due diligence in the beginning, and trying to see, you know, the niche and trying to see just how impactful he could be, you know, with that. Well, I wanted to ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
Like what is it about home inspections that made you want to, outside of there only being one, but before you finding that out, what was it about home inspections that made you want, to pursue it as, your entrepreneur?
Great question. I got tired of us getting gypped. Because I personally was done like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I had to repent, thinking some things. I'm like, this, what? Man, you know what? But I wasn't thinking about doing it. I just seen it. And then I was in conversation with my cousin one day, and I was like, you know what? That'll be a good thing. So I started pursuing it, man, and like I say, did my research, man, and paid for the course. But I just got tired of seeing we always have to, and it makes Dwayne said it earlier. We got to be okay with talking about it. Like, I got tired of seeing our other counterpart. I call them wonderful people. I got tired of them. We have to always go to them and they act like we just inferior to them, man. Like we just
like we need them.
Yeah, we're right. And I was like, man, so I pursued and I went on ahead and I started playing. And then once I was the guy who I was following, I started seeing them checks. I was like, oh. I was like, oh, like that's one. And then you start learning something. I don't care what nobody say. Once you start stuff motivates you a little bit more.
I was green behind it.
I was already, going after it, but it started motivating me more. Like, man, I can make my own hours and also make some money. But it's really, man, I just seen us getting gypped, man, and I just wanted to go, help us out. I'm really, to be honest with you, it's a business, but I want to impact our community, our culture, to know, first of all, it's real important to get a home inspected. I don't care how brand new the house is.
Mm-hmm.
I just inspected today. I just inspected a 2-year-old house. It had leaks, all kind of stuff in it. And you would think a brand new house shouldn't have no issues, right? But that's what they tell us. Like, no, you don't need no home inspection. I'm telling you, I encourage people, whenever you get ready to buy a house, you rather spend a couple of $100s than to spend a couple of $1,000s when you get in it.
A couple times.
Yeah. A couple. I'm talking about a few times, because it's ridiculous. And so that's why I got it. Man.
I'm gonna go ahead and share this right here. This is from your website here. And what you're talking about exactly is important. We had that conversation also when we met at a property, right? That what you're covering, here it is right here, structural, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, HVAC, garage. Most houses now are coming with the garage, right? Especially if you're buying something, especially you don't know what defects or things that are brewing that are bound to happen within the next 12 months that you can point out. And then you're going to provide that report to them within the next day, 24 hours. Now, I'm going to scroll down some more because you had some other things here that I wanted to look at. Like we're talking about buyer's home inspection, the importance of that. You don't buy a home and not have it formally inspected. Again, you do not buy a home and not have it formally inspected.
Please don't.
3 times. I'm looking at the camera. Do not buy a home and not have it formally inspected. All right. The pre-listing home inspection. So if you want to list your home, then, you can know as a seller what to expect. New construction, same what you're talking right there. Some home that's been newly constructed and all of a sudden, you think that, oh, it's new construction. There's nothing wrong. I mean, just go ahead and invest $200 into doing an inspection. The 11th month warranty inspection. All right, so you have like this is good too. I never thought of this. Homes typically come with a 1-year, 12-month warranty.
Absolutely.
You might want to have the inspection during that 11th month so that you can go and capitalize on the following 30 days to get it fixed before that runs out. Do I have that
But we
correct?
don't think about that. We don't
We
think
don't think about that. Then you got the reinspection process, the annual and biannual maintenance inspections, and then again swimming pool inspection. I mean, you do it all, brother.
Listen, I am, and I still study. I still look at stuff. I perfect it. I'm doing my best. I'm trying to do what I learned years ago in a leadership class, and I took away from it. It said, he asked the question, "What is your purple cow?" And then he asked the question, "Have you ever seen a purple cow?" Have y'all ever seen a purple cow?
Can't say I'm familiar with it.
That's the whole point. You got to have a purple cow in your business, because what makes you different? Not you may be doing what everybody else does, but what is it that you have that makes you different to where they say, "I'm going to Suzette."
Yeah. I've learned that is, what's your so what?
Yeah.
So after you given them the spiel, all right, so why should I choose you? So what? That's what the other person does.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I also do free recall checks for all your appliances. A lot of people's not doing that. So every appliance that's in your house, AC, they call built-in microwaves, not the one you buy from Walmart, but the built-in. Do it on those, the stoves, all your appliances, whatever is pretty much electrical that's built in. Do a free recall check. So if it comes back with a recall, then you can bank on that. But if it doesn't, then you still good.
That's good. That's real good.
You hit on something else that I wanted to just dial back to. It's that factor of time, and that's one thing that I don't think we focus on as a culture, because it's always ingrained in us. Go to school, get a good job, retire. I start with get good grades, go to a good college, get a good job, good government paying job with benefits, and retire at 65, whatever age. And that's not necessarily the recipe for wealth building. And of course, I don't coin that. That's Robert Kiyosaki, which I will always spout Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. But in that, we don't really explore why it's important to perhaps own your own business or enterprise, because what it does for you, just like you explained, is that in contrast, if I'm at a job 9 to 5 and that job calls me back in to, "Oh, I need you to work a couple of extra hours," or "Hey, that needs to be ready by tomorrow," that's your time that you'll never get away. And you say, "I can't do it because my child's baseball game or track event or whatever." It's kind of hard to say that if you don't have leverage in a company, or if you're the new guy and trying to prove yourself. So when you're talking about owning a business, being an entrepreneur, you get to call the shots. And I say that slowly and loosely, because a lot of times people will say, "I want to own a business so I can call the shots." That's not necessarily the reason here. I mean, because there are times when you don't call the shots, actually, your customer, because if you value your customer and you're providing a service, sometimes you're going to have to do some things that are outside of you being able to call the shots in order to not only sustain, but brand your business and your identity. But with that, you can balance your time much better. So if perhaps we have, like, for instance, a person that we're meeting with tomorrow, that's a potential client. So it's game time. We got to show that we add value, that, we're going to secure a contract with her. But at the same time, I'm looking at my schedule, when it's going to be best to meet. All right. It's not going to be Thursday, because baby girl running in the region track cross country on Thursday, and we blocking out that whole day to go see baby girl run.
Right.
So that's how I manage that. But the priority at some point is to meet with that customer. So we're going to carve out the free day tomorrow and meet with that person. So we're going to put that on the priority, but we get to dictate when it can happen, versus a typical boss saying, "I need you to stay late because we got a client coming in that I want you to meet." So that time value, being time rich, as I call it, really goes a long way when you start not only being an entrepreneur, but I'll also add being an investor in some capacity. Robert Kiyosaki talks about real estate. Every wealthy person who's an entrepreneur also is a real estate owner, because real estate is a way to build generational wealth and have benefits on your taxes, etc. So that game of it, with regard to time, is something that I want to definitely emphasize that you said.
Well,
and before you add on to that, I
Mhm.
want you to also talk about the time, not only that it's given you to create generational wealth, to teach your children, to be more available, but also how has that time been beneficial to you in your marriage and other important areas of your life?
Oh man, see, not. Let me check my watch, but no. let me tell you, man. When my son started playing football, I missed his first game because I was I had already planned to go to a conference, and the conference was doing that week. I don't pay my money, things of that nature. You know, some stuff is non-refundable, whatnot. And I missed his first game. I had to watch his game on FaceTime. And that after that, up to I felt terrible, man. Like if you're a parent and you involved in your kids, like you know how that feeling. I felt terrible, and I told and I vowed to him, and I say, son, I may miss a practice, but I'm not gonna miss another game. If the Lord's will, I'm not gonna miss another game. I don't care if you not playing. I don't care what it is. I'm not gonna miss another game. And to this day, I have not missed one game because of I left in 2017, and I had that freedom to now, even with church, no meetings. I don't care. Y'all can have a meeting. I won't be there. You can have Bible study. I won't be there. If it's my child thing, I'm not going to be there. And I told them from the rip when I was pastoring another church. I told them from the rip, I say anything my children are involved in, I'm always be there. I say because any day y'all can let me go, and I still got my family. So, and the freedom with being my wife, I could go to Adel and we can go to. I'm talking about the freedom of just doing what you literally kind of doing what you want to do. That's the freedom, and you don't miss those little monumental moments. You may miss certain things, but you won't miss the monumental moments. Like you were talking about Thursday, baby girl got to go run track. My son got a band quit. So what if I was tied down to a job and I don't know if I'm making banquets, things of that nature. He trying out for basketball. Like this year, they won what they call the Big Five Conference, 7th grade football. So they went undefeated. I was at every game. But guess what I did? I even went further. I started holding the chain so I could be down there on the field so he could see me right there. Baby girl was over there cheering, dancing. You can see Daddy gonna be it, because I know how it felt to see my dad. I know how it felt to see my mom. And even if I had a bad game, or even if whatever, man, you did a good job, I do the same thing with my son. I'm like, all right, now what we're gonna work on this whole, that's the freedom, of being an entrepreneur and still having a stable marriage, a healthy relationship with my children. Because I could just up and leave. I got a child in one of my daughters in Savannah State, one of them in Georgia Southern. If they need me, guess what I could do? I can get up and go.
That was the important part that I wanted to bring up, and I know Bo Black got something to add. I just wanted to highlight the fact that and if you look at Bezos, if you look at the Bill Gates, if you look at somebody else that they were the creators of the what did they create?
They created the Tesla, not Tesla. It was they created 23andMe. That's what it was. And these three couples are probably one of the three highlighted, couples that have made a lot of money, that have found themselves in the eye of the public. But when you look at their marriages, the actual creator of 23andMe, they actually divorced, I think, twice. And of course, Elon Musk and Bill Gates, but they've all talked about the fact that even though they were in business, it took away a lot of their time. And because it took away a lot of their time, their marriages suffered. Their relationship with their children suffered. Their personal life suffered. And that's why I wanted you to talk about, just the importance of being able to realize the value of that time, that you can actually create some great memories and also some great relationships by having that flexibility. And it also gives you the opportunity to kind of steer your own ship, be the captain of your own ship in a certain way, because now you can buy back your time. Now you can, you own your own time now. And I think that's a huge benefit, because this is a part of the blueprint. And I'm always thinking about that relational, familial type section of the blueprint when it talks about the, that time in that marriage, that time in that relationship. Black marriages are already struggling. And I think one of the things that Black marriages need is time. Because most of the time you've got the husband over here working, the mother's over here working, they got children, they're going back and forth. Some of them are in organizations, et cetera, et cetera. And time is fleeting, around next thing I just looked up 2 days ago, and my son's 18. Like, time is not waiting on anybody.
Right.
But to have that time to pour into your wife in younger years and not waiting until you get to retirement age to actually, focus on your wife. I think that's the benefit. And that's the beauty of being entrepreneurs as a couple in our society. So that's why I asked that question, because I just wanted to get your take on, what you think?
Well, I'm gonna say this. For those that don't know about, I come from the streets, and I had a mentality of all money is not good money. And why I said that is because I wasn't selling to everybody. I don't care what you coming to get. I don't know what you're talking about. No, I don't do that. So I took the same. People always say, well, you things change. No. I still got the same mentality. It just don't went from hustling to business. And so all money is not good money. And I can make my schedule. So if I don't want to do something on Monday, I can do it for you Tuesday. If I don't want to do something on Monday and Tuesday, I can do it for you Wednesday. So all money is not good money. And if you need it on Monday and I can't do it Monday, then I'm not afraid for you to say, well, let me see if I can get somebody else. That's cool. Why? Because if I go chasing after a dog, that's what got me locked up. Before, I was chasing it. I was out there. I was chasing it. But the last time I wasn't chasing it like that. I still, did what I was doing, but I wasn't chasing it. So now I take that same mentality in the business. I'm going to chase it. And that's where the big wigs, they try. Don't get me wrong now. Please don't take one up and say like I don't want to be a billionaire. But if it's going to destroy my family, I'm not with it. Everything that I do now is for the sanity of my children and my family. Because I'm gonna take this right here. I don't want my children to hate the church. Why? This is what I mean. Because they'll say the church took my daddy. Or they'll say, even with the business, it took my daddy. That stuff real. So that's why I don't chase everything. I still, marketing things like nature. Right now, I'm doing a few things in marketing, but all money is not good money, man. And that's where they went wrong, because they were chasing after every single penny that was put before them. And they ain't gonna never tell you this, but you can see it. Now, granted, my wife know that I'm gonna go get it. So you either gonna want me home and no money, or you gonna want me.
Yeah, about that. And that's what I was going to segue into, Mr. Mathis, respectfully, Pastor Mathis. Shout outs to Miss Mathis, because I know there has to be some type of collaboration and give and take there. When you decide to become an entrepreneurship, there's some pros and there's some cons to it. But my question to you is, to someone out there that's considering becoming an entrepreneur, and possibly even in the line and the profession that you do, what advice would you give to them?
The first thing that I asked my wife, I said, "Are you ready for this?" And the reason why I asked that was because I knew that I was going to be. I am a chaplain, I'm a pastor, and I'm an entrepreneur. So all three of those kind of keep me busy, including family. My family comes first, regardless of what. But I would encourage them. Me and my wife is not in business together, except for with the t-shirts. We have a what we call grace, dripping in grace shirts. That's the only thing we are in business with. Like, she don't have anything to do with the housing, don't have anything to do with everything else now. Because I don't want in church, I want my wife to be my wife. I want her to be my wife. I don't no secretary, because I know if I want something, I don't need that to interfere with our fellowship. I'm just
you got a thesaurus over there. You giving us some nice little code words over here. Fellowship. I feel you, brother.
I don't want
you preaching good, Reverend.
I'm just being honest, because if she the secretary, and I'm saying, we need to get this done, he'll be like, you don't need to get it done, and then we get home, and I still slap my wife on the butt. So anyway, but and get home and I slap on the butt, and she be like, "Oh no!" So you have to make sure.
Now, I don't know. This is TMI. I don't know if she wants you to be putting this out there to our viewers.
She right there.
She right there.
She'll probably come in the background, do this right here, like with her face off. That's just her. She gonna let you know.
He know, but it's I want my wife to be my wife, and I want them to understand that your family has to be on board, because if they're not on board, it's going to be
a struggle. Yeah.
It's going to be a struggle. That's why I said what I said, because she's on board. People like, hey, you got a house today? Hey, got to go 8 hours today, motor, because I, go 8 hours motor, and things of that nature. Hey, what we got? So she on board, but what if she wasn't? Then it would be an issue right in the house. Like they may not want to do it, but they be like, okay, all right, I'm gonna support you. So make sure you got that support, man.
Oh, well, I appreciate it. Well, I appreciate you, and we appreciate Miss Mathis. Like I said, we need more positive examples of what the successful, relationships in relationships and business, what that looks like. We don't have enough examples of what that looks like. So we appreciate you. We appreciate Miss Mathis for you guys being so candid and so honest with us, letting us know, you know, kind of letting us in and see what this is all about. So we appreciate that.
Yeah, and most definitely appreciate y'all. And she knows me. Mac knows. She knows me. Like, my wife is feisty. She gonna let you know what's on her mind. Don't care.
I like my kind of queen. I like
listen. And so that's why I appreciate the freeness of being an entrepreneur. And it sounds so, at first I had to get used to saying I'm an entrepreneur. You know, because I'm not in nobody's pocket. Nobody's, you know, so I can really say what I want to say and whatever. You know, and because, you know, some people they kind of hold back what they say because, you know, so in their pocket. So that's the thing about being an entrepreneur. And let me tell you what I did. I tried to reach out to all Black realtors.
Yeah.
I did that. And the reason why I did that is to let them know it's somebody like you that's doing home inspection.
Mm-hmm.
So here I am, website up, you go check it out. I even put up reports and things of that nature. I'm even hearing y'all about the Black, about just patronizing Black. I've been trying to do that, like doing my best to do that.
Yeah.
Do my best to patronize Black. You know, certain things we can't, like I was pulling out the gas station, certain things you can't. And when y'all was talking about the construction, people don't know that building Valdosta High was $85+ million. But the black contractors didn't get but $700,000.
Yep. I heard about that.
$85+ million. And the Black contractors, not that they couldn't do the job. Now they probably wasn't as big, you know, with you doing the general contractor, but they could do everything else. But they didn't get but $700,000 at a predominantly Black school system. I got an issue with that. So I'm, you know, doing things like that. So that's what's, yeah, I can go on and on and on, you know, talk about certain things because people don't think that you woke because you ain't really saying that, but everything don't have to be on Facebook. I do a lot of stuff talking to people like behind closed doors and things of that nature. Dwayne, you was talking about that earlier, man. How some of the conversations you got to be able to network and talk to people. You can't just wait till the midnight hour and try to go party and do things. No, you got to do it during the daytime. Go sit with people for an hour. Go eat breakfast. Did you know that Holiday Inn on 84 was Black managed? May not be Black owned, but it's Black managed. You know, so you try to, you know, try to do things like that, yeah, man. And so, I don't know, man. Y'all talked about some stuff tonight that I promise you, man, we have to get in. And this is my big take from a lot of it. If we don't stick together, we have to stick together. And it's a prime example. Valdosta should have had the first Black mayor.
Yeah.
But that vote got split.
Yeah.
See,
we're working on that one though.
So before you leave us, could you give us a shout out of your website? Can you tell our viewers how we can find you? And actually, looks like one of our viewers, your cousin Calvin, said give him a call because he needs to put you to work. He got a job for you.
Yeah.
But give us a shout out. What's your website?
You can call me at 229-251-2509. I'm always answering telephone. You can shoot my email at 6dhomeinspection@gmail.com. You can go to the website at 6dhomeinspection.com. You can look on Facebook at 6D Home Inspection. You can look on Instagram, 6D Home Inspection. And let me tell you the funny story about 6D Home Inspection. All of our names begin with D. My name is Dedrick. My wife's name is Daisy. My daughter's name is Delia. My other daughter's name is Deja. My other daughter's name is Dariah. And my son's name is Doris. So that's why I named it 6D Home Inspection. So anything 6D Home Inspection, you could just look it up and contact me personal. I am the secretary.
One man show, huh?
The secretary, the marketing department, the finance department, CPA. Yeah, I understand you.
and my son, let me tell you, and before I go, y'all mentioned about my son. I took him with me. I ordered him some shirts and stuff because I said when we go, because let me tell you, when you go in certain neighborhoods, if
they got to be able to feel comfortable with you. Go ahead and say it.
Right. And so one day my son had his hat on backwards. I say, no, son. I say, turn your hat around and let's be presentable. I say, because I don't want nobody to get the wrong idea that this is just something that we do. And I'm trying to teach him. I was teaching him about tucking in his shirt, things of that nature, all kind of stuff. And I was showing him some stuff. And I didn't think he was listening. And we was doing one of the home inspections with Dwayne. And he was pointing out stuff. And when he can't work with me because it's school now, but during the summer, he was pointing out stuff. Dad, you see this? Dad, you see that? And I'm like, okay, son. All right. So it's important, man. And I want him to see that it daddy is an entrepreneur and see, people like of color that our money don't have to need to be in our community more than 6 hours.
Yeah.
It need to be rotated.
Yeah.
I know for a fact I done had conversations with people. I ain't talking about us, but with other people. And this is what one guy said. He was like, they're just gonna be honest with you. It was like, even if my race don't like each other, we some of them still won't do business with you, with Black people. And this was he's pretty cool guy. He said, even if they don't like each other, they're gonna do business with each other, even if they don't like each other, then they would do with.
That's what I was exactly talking about last time, man. Just the fact that there's an intentional mindset on their end and unapologetic. So don't think that we need to be opposite acting in our mindset to be politically correct and not be intentional and not say Black owned is who I'm looking for first.
That's it. That's it.
Hey, brother, a couple of things that I want to, before we let you go, not to bring up, I want to make sure you are tapped into. I'm going to send you an email for our Small Business Alliance meetings that we're having on Tuesday evenings prior to this. But I want to make sure that you're in the room because a lot of what you're saying is in lockstep, just like with Brother Lawrence, who was on earlier, that we work together. And so having you in that round table meeting basically is going to be beneficial because I'm trying to basically grow that group and show that over time we're a force to be reckoned with and move forward through that initiative. The second thing is that just like we talked with Brother Lawrence, it sounds like we got some good springboard mindset into doing somewhat of a business seminar. When I say just a panel and just talk about, just like we're talking tonight, but for Valdosta Black patrons to see us on the stage talking business. This ain't a party. This is just trying to pour back out to them that want to listen and basically utilize, each other when it comes to our resources, but they got to know you.
Yeah.
So I want to put you on that also as we think about that further, with James Lawrence, but at the same time, immediately I'm put you on the invite to be a part of our calls on Tuesday prior to this time frame.
Man, let's do it because I've been saying that with my wife. I'm like, we got to build a community.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I just passed by a part on a Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Just passed by it had the business part, and I looked over there, And I was like, man, this is what they do. Tuesdays, not no other day, not no Friday night, not no Saturday night, but Tuesday. They was in suits and things of that nature. So you know it was a business meeting, man. You know it wasn't just no candid thing that they were just doing. And also, it's good that you mentioned that because that's what they do, Dwayne. I see it. Like I know some millionaires, man, that they oh yeah, we just going to such talk about such and such. That's just what they do. And I'm like, but they also does this thing what they call Atlanta did it, but it's called blockchain voting.
Yeah.
That's how they do stuff. They get the majority of whoever on certain boards, and they I may not agree with you this time, Dwayne, but I'm gonna go with you. Now you owe me one. I may not agree with you this time, Suzette, but I'm gonna go with you. Now you owe me one. And so that's how they do it. So next time I vote on something, I need y'all to be with me now. I'm telling you, that's what they do. So we think that it's because of XYZ, but the system is set up like that. Like I may not care. I don't care. I don't like what Suzette want to vote on, but I'm gonna go with her. Why? Because we got that blockchain voters. And that's what's been going on. And that's why you see a lot of people get mad and upset and disrupted, because now it's starting to be a majority of us doing stuff. And now it's wrong. Now it's wrong. I've been doing it for this long, but make sure you hit me up.
Exactly right. All right. Bro, we ain't gonna take too much more of your time there. Definitely let the missus know we appreciate her loaning your time, that family time to us. And we're gonna definitely wish you the best and support you as we wish you the best in other arenas. But with that said, we'll say good evening, good night to you as we close out our show also on our end. But we'll definitely be talking to you soon. I will, especially.
Man, thank y'all so much, man, for the opportunity. I made it, mama. I made it.
Hey, we got more to go, though. We got more to go.
Yeah. Bless y'all, man. Love y'all, man. Y'all be encouraged, and I'm most definitely continue to check you guys out, man. And just know it's only the beginning, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
All right. Talk to you soon, bro.
All right, man.
All right, everyone. Well, it looks like we have come to the end of the show.
Yeah.
Listen, you guys did an amazing job. I've trained you very well. You did so good, Black. You did so good, beautiful. Thank you.
Hey, man, I was mentored by the best, evidently. That 10-day gap, it was beneficial.
Oh yeah. Well, we definitely want to say thank you to
I think I found the purple cow in the room.
Yeah. Yes, you did. We want to say thank you to everybody who has joined us on the chat, on our YouTube. Thank you so much for your comments. Thank you for your support. Anyone that came on that hasn't subscribed, please make sure you hit the like button and hit the bell so you'll be notified when some more of this great content is already prepared and on its way to you and yours. Don't forget to put our name out there in the streets. Make sure you let people know tomorrow how you spent your evening chatting with the Black and the Bold podcast. Listen, we've come to that end of the road. I hear Boys to Men singing in the background, so you all know I got to do my thug thizzle and give you these words of encouragement. Listen, tonight, I'm just going to come from a very familiar author. Dave Ramsey says, live like no one else, so later you can live like no one else. I'll say it again. Dave Ramsey says, live like no one else, so later you can live like no one else. In other words, he's telling us to do your very best to blaze a trail so that instead of you following somebody else's footsteps, you can actually leave a trail for someone or a path for someone to follow behind you. What he's telling us to do is make certain and to make sure that sometimes we might have to find a new path or a new method. We might have to begin a new undertaking, but at the end of the day, If no one else is doing it, that doesn't mean it's impossible for you. It just simply means that you're going to have to navigate all the ebbs and flows, that at the end of that road, you can turn around and tell someone what you had to endure to reach your level of success. Sometimes you're going to have to do the extra. Sometimes you're going to have to sacrifice more. Sometimes you're going to have to give more. Sometimes you might have to work longer hours. Sometimes you might have to do more than your coworkers. But he tells us, live like no one else, so later you can live like no one else. Of course, we know that all of Dave Ramsey's information is about finances, and he's telling us we should learn how to live at our very lowest. I mean, squeeze every penny, scratch every dollar, so that when you get ready to retire, you'll have so much more stored up so your life can be better on the second half of your life. That's really what he's saying. But I want to tell you, blaze that trail. But I'm going to give you 9 traits or 9 things you can do to blaze your trail for success. And I'm going to let you go. First thing, make a decision and commit to it. Second thing, model off success. Find somebody with industry who's doing it to the best of their ability, and then meet their mark and beat them at doing it. Third thing, find a way to stand out in your industry or market. There we go, that purple cow. Number 4, create yourself as an expert in the industry or market. Make sure that you are the best in your region so you can ensure your success. Number 5, lead with generosity and help others along the way. Listen, you got to be a giver if you want to be a getter. Number 6, build key relationships. We've been talking about that tonight. Everything in life we accomplish is with or through other people. So you got to learn how to build relationships. Number 7, critics will come. It's a reality. So in other words, your haters are going to come. But that don't stop no show. Number 8, don't compare yourself to others along the way. Why? Because you are fearfully and wonderfully made. There ain't but one of you. So be the best of you. And number 9, if you want a different result, you have to do what others have not done. And then you commit to that. If it means waking up early, if it means working late, if it means losing sleep, if it means losing friends, if it means missing the party, missing the reunion, missing the vacation, live like no one else. So later you can live like no one else. Times are so uncertain, times are tough, but times are always pregnant with possibilities. But you got to put your seed in the ground if you want that tree to grow. Live like no one else, so later you can live like no one else. We love you here at the Black and the Bold podcast. It's not a show without you, but listen, we're going to be right back here next Tuesday night at 8:30 with some more hot fire, some more good content. Thank you so much for being with us. We love you from the bottom of our hearts. Until next time, peace, love, and light. Shalom.